Hi there, my name's Tom, and this is your weekly political video. I'll try to sum it up as short and as sweet as I can. Let's see, the GOP is criticizing the Harris campaign, understandably so, for being light on policy descriptions and details, because they're focusing more on their opponent's behavior. The irony being the Trump campaign doesn't do policy at all. That's why the Heritage Foundation wrote Project 2025 for him as a blueprint. I know he disavowed it. It's still worth noting that he is known for taking liberties with the truth, and a very, very, very large percentage of the authors and members of the Heritage Foundation are former members of Trump's administration when he was in office. Let's see. One thing of note is Harris did describe her capital gains tax plan. If you're watching this video, her capital gains tax will do absolutely nothing to you. It will impact you in no way whatsoever, because you don't make $100 million a year or more. You're not one of 10,000 Americans that this would impact. Let's see. In the meantime, Trump, his handlers have been desperately trying to get him to focus on policy because they need to reach out to normal people, healthy people, people who don't like the bullying, narcissistic craziness, the people who don't rely on cruelty as a solution to everything. And so, he tries, and then he gets bored, doesn't really know what he's saying or talking about, and then he asks his audience if they're okay if he goes into personal attacks. Like he gets permission from his base, except those are the people who are going to vote for him anyway. They're not the undecided voters. They're not the people he needs to be reaching out to right now, so that's not a great strategy. At least, that's a personal opinion, but yeah, I don't think that's going to help. Alright, now in 2A news, there was a school shooting basically on the opening day of school, or within the first week of school, in Georgia. A 14-year-old boy was taken into custody. His father has also been arrested. Now, this is the second time that I'm aware of that the parents have been arrested. Or at least a parent has been arrested. Just, I want to say 6-7 months ago, Ethan Crumbley's parents were convicted for their child's actions at his school. That was roughly 25 years after Columbine happened, and I was in high school and saying, what the heck, why aren't the parents being charged? Now, I'm generally okay with private firearms ownership and so forth. I'm not one of those you should stockpile and emulate the military kind of guys. Just if you want to own one and you can be responsible for it, you have an education on it, I'm generally okay with that. Where I do not entertain a debate about 2A is gross criminal negligence, child endangerment, or otherwise other forms of child abuse, depraved indifference related homicides. That's nothing that I think 2A would provide you any sort of immunity towards prosecution. That's not up for debate with me. And it's important to understand that I mentioned Columbine. You have all of Gen Y and a good portion of Gen Z now that, we now make up jury pools, prosecutors, law enforcement, and all this, and maybe we don't all agree with each other on everything, but we don't like the idea that these incidents are a fact of life, and we don't accept that it has to be a fact of life for the most part. We don't like that we were written off like that. And so now that change is finally happening, and the other parties involved are subject to prosecution and conviction and prison time now. It's worth noting that the more people insist any sort of regulation is bad, the more you create younger generations of people who must suffer for that indifference. And one day, if you continue to refuse to compromise, there's a real probability that the next amendment to the Constitution could be the end of an earlier amendment. And so maybe it's time to come to the table and understand that it's okay to make sure crazies don't have the ability to do this, and that the people who enable those crazies are held accountable. Well, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm sure this one will get a couple. And have a good day.